Today on Monkey Life, Alison is in Vietnam on a mission to return rare pygmy lorises back into the wild.
We're working really hard to get our heads into pygmy loris world, and it's not an easy job.
A first for John in the clinic.
I've never anaesthetized or radiocollared a pygmy loris. Very few vets have had their hands on pygmy loris.
And a groundbreaking achievement with the golden-cheeked gibbons.
We got him. All good. Our team are brilliant.
This is Dao Tien Rescue Centre in Vietnam. It was set up in 2008 and it's a sister sanctuary of Monkey World in Dorset. The staff here dedicate their lives to rescuing and rehabilitating endangered Vietnamese primates.
It's a new forest with a new family group of gibbons coming, and hopefully everybody will grow up and mature together.
Dr. Alison Cronin has travelled 6,000 miles from the UK to visit the centre, which lies 160 miles northeast of Ho Chi Minh City. Vietnam has a population of over 87 million. The cities are crowded, and her rapidly growing economy is taking its toll on the tropical forests, which have long been home to an abundance of exotic wildlife. Alison makes regular visits to the rescue centre, but this time she's brought out specialist wildlife vet John Lewis. His expertise will be critical to the Gibbon project.
So the island's back.
Yes, that is it right there.
Oh,
Dao Tien lies within Cat Tien National Park. It's an island in the Dong Nai River, so it can only be accessed by boat.
Dao Tien is very different to Monkey World in that we will never keep primates here long term. You're either fit for rehabilitation and release, or we'll find you a home somewhere else in captivity. All of the guys that'll stay here on the island are in the process of being rehabilitated to go back out, either into Cat Tien National Park or into a neighboring nature reserve called Vinh Cu.
All of the primate species on Dao Tien are endangered. There are black-shanked douklangers, golden-cheeked gibbons, and pygmy lorises. Many of them have been rescued from the illegal wildlife trade, which is rampant in Vietnam. Primates are snatched from the wild and sold on as pets.
Hello, Pipsqueak. Hey, you.
Alison and her team work with the Vietnamese authorities to rescue as many as they can and ultimately release them back into the wild. This is John's first visit to the centre.
I do, from time to time, deal with rehabilitation centres in other places. 99% of them are amateur, really amateur. This isn't. This is about population conservation. That's a different kettle of fish. So hats off to them.
As the day comes to an end, the clouds gather and the heavens open. Everyone turns in for some much-needed rest. Next morning, it's an early start. Steph, Dao Tien's manager, shows Alison round the new semi-wild area on the island, where some rescued pygmy lorises are already living. It's the first step towards their final release.
So there are how many in here?
3 in here, 2 boys and 1 girl.
Okay. I mean, it's fantastic. It's so overgrown. When was the last time you saw them?
It's quite a while ago. The only time that we ever see them at the moment is at night.
Yeah.
I mean, it took Sylvia sitting here for 10 nights consecutively before the loris were brave enough to come down to the food bowl.
The team have been monitoring the lorises in this semi-wild area and building up their knowledge of how they survive. Vital information for them to find the best site for their big release into Vinh Cu Nature Reserve. In the wild, pygmy lorises will eat insects, fruit and tree sap. They're extremely shy, moving slowly among the trees and hanging onto tiny branches with a vice-like grip. Like all species of loris, they're nocturnal, and their huge reflective eyes help them hunt for food in the dark.
And it isn't until dusk that they come alive and start moving around the forest eating insects. And basically their primary adaptation is to avoid predators by holding still and maybe move away slowly. And that means that it's really hard for all of our primate care staff here on Dao Tian to even find them in our semi-wild enclosure. Because as soon as they hear the people moving around, what do? They freeze. They hold still. They don't even look at you, so you can't see their eyes reflecting back. So we're working really hard to get our heads into Pygmy loris world, and it's not an easy job.
Alison first became aware of the trade in Pygmy lorises over a decade ago. She was shocked to see them being sold on street corners in Ho Chi Minh City. They'd been stolen from the forest and were destined for the pet trade or for use in traditional medicines. No one knows the numbers involved or how many are still left in the wild. Today, the team are preparing to release 3 Pygmy lorises, Sun, Sylvia and Talai.
What I don't want to achieve with that is to make the knot thicker.
Before they go, they each need to be fitted with a radio collar so that the team will be able to keep track of them. The collars are designed to fall off naturally after 6 months.
It's there.
John is working with Uli Streicher, the world's leading veterinary expert in Pygmy lorises, and Dao Tian's consultant vet.
Okay, good.
I've never anaesthetised or radio-collared a Pygmy loris. It's in fact incredibly rare. Very few vets have had their hands on Pygmy loris. They're incredibly rare. So I'm completely naive and open to learning today.
Okay.
The lorises must be anaesthetised in order to fit the collar. Putting any primate under anaesthetic is risky, but even more with these tiny lorises. At around 500 grams, they weigh less than half a bag of sugar.
Okay. Go.
The team must work quickly. Sylvia's given a general health check.
Look at the teeth. Quick look at the teeth.
Sylvia is lucky to have her teeth. Pygmy lorises destined for the pet trade usually have theirs clipped or knocked out so they can't bite. Once removed, they will never again be able to feed or protect themselves in the wild.
Just keep it nice and quiet so that she's not too stressed.
While she's under light anaesthetic, the drops will keep her delicate eyes lubricated. Now time for the small collar.
Oops, madam. There's this fit there.
It needs to be a snug fit.
Slide it down. You happy with that?
I think I'm fine with that, as it is, yes.
Despite his years of experience with other primates, this has been a first for John.
I think we all learn a little bit more every time you do another individual. That was very interesting.
The animals go back to their enclosures overnight to recover from the anaesthetic. All's now set for the next stage of the operation. The plan is to free these Pygmy lorises into the neighbouring nature reserve Vinh Khu. It's an ideal place, an area of forest obliterated during the Vietnam War. It's now regenerated, but still has few wild primates of its own. It's a 3-hour journey away, time enough for Alison to acquaint John with Vinh Khu.
So just up the road here is the Soi Sao Ranger Station, which is the ranger station that protects the area where we've been releasing the gibbons last year. So meet the guys and then head straight out to the release site.
The timing is crucial. They must travel in daylight and be ready to bring the lorises out as dusk falls. The last leg of the journey is so rough, the team take to mopeds, carefully balancing their precious cargo.
Yeah, so we've just got a short walk into the forest now where the release site is for the loris. So let's try and keep everything quieted down and wait for the others to catch up and get the loris out into their release cage.
It's been a long, hot journey for the lorises, who are normally fast asleep in the daytime. They'll now get a chance to settle down, relax, and get used to all the strange new sounds and smells around them.
Maybe up right here? Yeah. Possible? Yeah.
All the preparations for the big day are put in place now. Alison wants the release to be as calm and stress-free as possible for them. But they can't stay in the release cage for too long. Predators in the forest will also be watching them.
There are snakes and there are monitor lizards, and loris are great food for snakes and monitor lizards, and they smell. So the gauge on the cage is very small, so it's unlikely anything's going to get through, but at the same time, it's striking that balance. So we have to hope for the 2 evenings that we'd like to keep them here, they'll be fine, but every day the Kim Lam will check on them, top up the water for the 2 days, top up the food for the 2 days, and then we'll get them straight out into the forest.
It's not such dense, heavy forest that it's unpleasant to work in. Alison's got the plan all worked out nicely and logically. This is an interesting part.
Just final touches right now before we get them inside the cage. Mr. Bin, happy? It's good? Okay.
If all goes well, this will be the last full night Sun, Sylvia and Talai will spend in captivity.
We've got food bowls in, water in, good shelter, in a tight cage, so I think we'll be all right for the night.
Everyone at Dao Tien Rescue Centre in Vietnam is dedicated to rehabilitating and releasing rescued primates back into the wild. It's an uphill struggle. 12 months ago, they released 2 families of golden-cheeked gibbons into the neighbouring Vinh Khu Nature Reserve.
Last year was the big first step. We put GPS collars onto 2 family groups that we had rehabilitated here on the island. They each had a baby with the adult pair, and we released them into 2 different areas and started following them.
Unfortunately, Lili, one of the male gibbons, only survived for 2 months because, unbeknown to anyone, he had a serious underlying health condition, but he made the most of his short spell of freedom.
Not every gibbon's going to survive when we put them back out into the wild, but it's better than living in a small cage in a petrol station or at an amusement park and assuming that we think you're fit and healthy and behaving well. Everybody here on the Dao Tien will have an opportunity to go back out into the wild.
Da, Lat and baby Juan were the other gibbon family released. The 2 adults had been rescued from a cage at a restaurant. Because the business was being refurbished, it had become just a noisy building site.
I had actually just gotten an email right before we came out on this trip from somebody saying that they had come on holiday and they had seen 3 gibbons outside a restaurant.
The Dao Tien team worked with the authorities to get Da and Lat confiscated. They were taken to the rescue centre where Juan was born, and as soon as they were fit and the right place found for them, the family was set free into the nature reserve. Today, the team are going back to Da's old release site in Vinh Khu. The males in both families were fitted with GPS collars so that their whereabouts would be known. Vital information was recorded, which will enable the team to prepare the best release sites in the future. The signal from Lili's collar alerted them when he stopped moving and died, but both collars should have dropped off after 6 months.
So, fingers crossed on this one.
A year later, Da has still got his collar on. They must get the bulky collar off Da, both for his welfare and so that they can collect the research data from it. So, after all their efforts in getting him back into the wild, they're now planning to recapture Da, retrieve his collar, and at the same time check his condition.
Mr. Bin and Mr. Ton are going in to now try and catch Da in the cage, so this is it.
We either catch them in the cage today or we try again tomorrow. But so only the two of them, but I'm just gonna creep up behind in the trees just to see how they're going. Have a quick look.
The rest of the team hold back while Mr. Tan goes ahead. He looked after Dar for 2 years while he was at Daotien, so Mr. Tan's a familiar face, the only one with any chance of getting close to him now.
If they don't catch Dar, it's actually very dangerous to dance him. Mainly because even if I succeeded, which is one tall ask, he'll probably swing off. Goes high in the tree, which is likely, becomes anaesthetised, he'll fall. So we can't really risk even trying to anaesthetise him up in the trees, free out of that cage. He has to be in the cage.
For the last few days, they've been putting food into Dar's old release cage to tempt him back in so that they can sedate him. Dar moves in. He spots the food in the cage. He might just try to reach in and grab it. But no, he swings right inside. Mr. Tan acts quickly, securing the door. They've got Dar, and there's no way out for him.
We got him. All good. Our team are brilliant. Fantastic.
They must approach very quietly. His mate Lat with baby Juan will be nearby, and there's a real danger she could take fright and abandon Dar, destroying this family group.
She is in the tree, so...
John has prepared the anaesthetic, but it's Mr. Tan that Dar knows, so the plan is that he will administer it.
Okay, good luck. The boys with you are right there.
Everyone else keeps their distance. Mr. Tan needs to get close enough to Dar to inject him with the anaesthetic. He's done it. This will be their first chance in a year to health check these gibbons and see if Dar's thriving in the wild. Now, John must work quickly. Any delay could have disastrous consequences for this gibbon family. Thankfully, the GPS collar comes off very easily. He's straight on to the health check. Dar's condition will let them know if there's enough food around this release site.
There's no obvious abnormality. His teeth are good. His condition is happy. Is satisfactory. The collar's now off. We are going to take a blood sample. And that's it. Wake him up. The reason I'm whispering is that we actually haven't given him a great deal of anaesthetic. And noise will wake him up. Or it will tend to rouse him. So.
The procedure takes less than 15 minutes. John reverses Dar's anaesthetic, and now it's a waiting game.
Now we'll leave him in the cage for a short while to make certain he's competent to move, to grip onto things, and so on. Then you can go. And we just judge that according to how he responds. I'm not just decorating the gibbon with leaves here. It's a dark animal, and it's sometimes difficult to see breathing on a dark animal. And it's easier to see the leaf move than it is the chest move. So I can see when I'm talking to you, which is why I keep furtively glancing over here. I'm watching his breathing, actually, so that helps me.
Suddenly, they spot a movement high up in the trees. It's Lat watching over her mate. They can just see baby Juan on the branch to the left. Dar is coming round and takes his first few shaky steps.
You know, know, my sort of heart's in my throat. We've come so close right now. We're so close, but you just don't know. And in the cage, he looks fit, but when we let him out into the 30-meter trees, is he gonna miss and come hurtling to the floor? So this is it. This is the last step, and a little bit nervous for him, but I hope he'll be okay.
There's no time to waste. The longer Dart is away, the more likely Lat is to leave him.
Let him go.
Absolutely brilliant textbook. Couldn't have been better. Really, really good. And I'm so pleased because they've been out here for a year, and now we can officially say Dawn Lat are wild gibbons again.
Next time on Monkey Life. Will Pygmy Lorises' son, Sylvia, and Talai be able to survive in the wild?
Really, it's time for all of us, everybody who's come out today, to pull back, get out of the forest, and leave them to it.
And Alison meets black-shanked Dootlanger Lala, the newest arrival at Doutien.
Hello, my sweet. I feel very privileged.